Hello! I'm Mac, at least for a day, and everything's going to be okay. In this video, I'm going to be reading the comments from my recent video titled What's Next for No Man's Sky 2019 edition. So I'm going to be reading other people's speculation on what they think might be coming next for No Man's Sky, or just what they believe is best for the game to add. Now, these comments are just the comments that were on the video the day after I put the video up. So I know other people have commented on that video since then, but I just wrote down the ones that commented within a day. And I probably only would have time to just read those ones anyway. So I'm sorry if I don't read your comment, but next time if you comment sooner, I might read your comment on the next video that I asked for comments. But anyway, first comment comes from Tyler Thunder. He says, I think the next major update will be a space-themed update, but we could see other things in it too, like more added variation in flora, fauna, and biomes. Yeah, it's kind of funny, the last two updates, the Abyss and Visions, added a lot of variation to oceans and land, but variation is still one of the most asked for features that people want to see improved. I think the reason for that is well, the Abyss improved all of the seas, so that was pretty good, but Visions didn't really improve normal planets. It only added more exotic planets and a few carnivorous plants, a few new carnivorous plants to all planets. So old types of planets like hot planets, cold planets, toxic, lush planets and such are all still pretty much the same. They haven't really received much more variation. And really I think that's what needs the most improvement, is the regular planets. So for instance, it's really predictable currently if you scan a planet from space. If you played No Man's Sky long enough, if you scan a planet from space and it's a toxic planet, you automatically know what it's going to look like. All toxic planets have giant mushrooms. All hot planets have giant lava flower things. All cold planets have evergreen trees. All lush planets have leafy trees. All radioactive planets have weird mold-looking stuff. All of the old planets always look pretty much the same. They can have different colors, and the plants get changed in size and get twisted a little bit and things like that, but they all have basically the same stuff. So what I think Hello Games needs to do is they need to open it up so that any planet can have any type of thing on it. Like, why can't we have a toxic planet that has leafy trees and some mushrooms? How come all toxic planets just have giant mushrooms? That's too predictable, and it makes it seem like there's really not much variation in the game. So I agree with Tyler Thunder. We need to have a lot more variation in all planets, not just new exotic planets. And the new exotic planets, like other exotic planets that have been added, are pretty much the same as well. If you scan and you see, oh, that's a bone planet, all exotic bone planets are going to look the same, and you already know what they look like before you even land on them. So they need to change the way planets are generated so that totally unique looking planets can exist. And a good example is Rayrod's mod, because Rayrod made it so that all kind of crazy mixtures of plant and rock assets could happen. Now, a step in the right direction is the planet that I'm on. These megalith planets, as I call them, have giant new type of circular rock assets and these giant trees, but even they get predictable after a while. Eventually, you go to one of these new types of biomes, and it's some type of tree that's really giant and some type of rock that's really giant. It still seems samey. Now in Rayrod's mod, I remember seeing one time someone landed on a planet, and everywhere on the planet there was ankle-deep water. So the whole planet was like a marshland. And you've never seen planets like that, and nowhere else on Rayrod's mod was there a planet like that. It was a totally new type of planet that just happened to get generated, that no one had ever seen before. So I think Hello Games could do a lot to really improve the variation in the game more than they already have. And that's about enough about that one. I spent enough time on that. Okay, so then next comment is McCracken. He says, I would like to see a pirate faction storyline, maybe with ship mod dealers and such. That would sit nicely into a space update. So a couple things there. First, I'll address the ship mods. Now, being able to change your ship, that has been requested since the game first came out. That is one of the most requested features that still has not been addressed. We've gotten a lot of the stuff that people always asked for, multiplayer, freighters, bases, all of that, but we still do not have any way to change the appearance of our ship. You can change its, function, its technology, but you cannot change how it looks at all. It would be nice, at the very least, if they would allow us to change the color of our ship. They finally made it so that we could change the color of exocraft, of our vehicles, but it's still not possible to change the color or add decals to our ships. Now, other people want a whole complete customization system where you can change all the parts of your ship. I don't know if they'll ever do that, but I do think they could make it possible to change the color of our ship. The reason I don't think they'll let us completely customize a ship is they want to take advantage of the procedural generation of the game. They want us to search across many star systems and find a really special looking ship that we like, instead of just being able to customize and get the type of ship we want without exploring. So the procedural generation of ships is intended to make us explore until we find that dream ship that we really wanted. But I think that they could open it up so that we could change the color and add decals to our ship, even if they won't allow us to completely remodel a ship. Okay, next comment is from Lyle Dotson. He says, oh, sorry, I forgot. McCracken also said a pirate faction. I agree with that. We've had the space pirates in the game since day one, and we still don't know who they are. Of course, they could just be random outlaws in each star system, but it would be cool if there was a whole pirate faction that we could choose to fight against them or join them. When a space battle appears, we have the option to fight against the pirates or fight with them. We can help destroy the freighters and steal stuff. But it would be nice if they took that a step further and made it so that there were special outlaw star systems and special outlaw space stations. You could go to them, you could ask to join the faction, or in a regular star system there'd be some kind of space police, and they would ask you to go and attack the space pirate star systems. So you could either fight for the good guys and attack space pirate stars space stations, or you could go and join them and do missions for them to steal from regular space citizens. But anyway, that's just another idea. So anyway, back to Lyle Dotson's comment. He says an NPC update would be cool. Seeing the aliens walking around and using their multi-tool would make the game less lonely. Would make the game less lonely though. But wouldn't it be cool to wander a planet to run into an alien in the middle of nowhere every now and then? So yeah, I agree with that. That is another feature that people have complained about since the game came out, is the static NPCs. All NPCs either sit or stand in the same spot and they never move around. That even goes for Nada and Polo. Nada and Polo are one of the few named NPCs that you can talk to, and they themselves stand in the same spots. They do move to different spots in their space station occasionally, but they never actually move when you're there. They just move positions next time you go to their space station. But yeah, no NPCs are programmed to walk around or do anything besides look at their iPad. And I've said in the past that they're basically vending machines. You talk to them, you make choices, and you get a reward. They have improved the NPC interaction system a little bit. You can ask them you can request some different things, and it will scroll back to previous commands sometimes. That didn't used to be the case, but it's still very limited, and they give you side quests now, which is nice, but for the most part interacting with NPCs is still pretty bland. And like I said, they don't walk around. They don't seem like they're actually ever doing anything. Supposedly the ships that fly around have NPCs in them, though there basically isn't. You can interact with the ship and see an NPC that is supposedly inside of it, but it's really just a ship with an NPC interaction. But yeah, it would be really nice if at the very least we could have NPCs walking around inside the space station. Now Lyle in here said, wouldn't it be cool to run into NPCs on a planet? That would also be cool. I think that would be a lot more difficult to program, but let's say I was just walking along a planet and they could have a dynamic system where NPCs could randomly spawn when you get close to somewhere. So say I'm walking along and I come to a group of trees and suddenly I notice a Viking standing there, and the Viking is running around shooting at sentinels, and then if I want to, I could help him kill the sentinels, and then I might get in trouble with the sentinels. Or I guess one of the reasons they haven't done this yet, other than the fact that it's hard to program, is it would also make it possible for you to kill the NPC. I think maybe Hello Games is trying to avoid getting in trouble with the ESRB by preventing us from killing NPCs, because if we were going around killing humanoids, then it might make the game become a mature rating or something. Uh-oh, I gotta recharge my hazard protection. So that might be another reason why they haven't done that. We finally have walking animations, so that's not really an excuse for them not to make moving NPCs. And like I said, it would be really easy for them to make NPCs on space stations or freighters that are walking around doing things like typing on a computer and then walking and sitting on a chair somewhere else, so that they actually seem alive. So yeah, that's something people have always wanted to see, is NPCs actually moving around. Okay, moving on. Raymil Nurcust said, Trailer Diplo, Desert Snakes, Lightning, Flora Fauna Update, Better Animal Behavior, Animal Variety, Geysers, more buildings, things that make exploring more interesting, because that's what the game is all about, exploring. So yeah, there's some good ideas there. He kind of reiterates the flora fauna, more specifically fauna. Besides having better planets like I talked about earlier, we would also like better creatures. They've improved animal behavior some. In this video you've seen some of the herd behavior that they added in Next. And creature movement is very much improved since Next. They used to be creature movement animation used to be a lot more awkward looking. They move more slowly and more fluidly now than they used to. But yeah, definitely creature variation could be improved. We still have pretty much the same types of creatures we always have, with the exception of the new exotic creatures on exotic planets. They finally added some otherworldly creatures like bone spikes coming out of the ground, floating orb, energy creatures are now on exotic planets, but on regular planets we still just have cat, dog, lizard, dinosaur looking things. It would be nice if some of those exotic energy bizarre creatures were on normal planets, not just exotic planets. And any other types of creatures they want to add would be greatly welcome. And he also mentioned geysers and other things like that, and volcanoes. And lava planets. I don't think anybody mentioned that, but I'm probably going to do a whole video on the lava planet issue. Lava planets is highly requested feature people have been asking for a while, but I'm going to do a whole video about lava planets. Next, Archivista Golden Yo Rains. Oh man, I gotta get away from these predators and get out of the storm. Sorry if I butchered your name. Archivista Golden Rains. They said, I'd like a war update with maybe exploding stars and planets. I definitely agree with war update. I said before, to go along with the space update, we should have like an actual war system. Let me give you an example. You go to a star system, and let's say the star system is at war. Instead of just having one big space battle, they would have big space battles going on all over the star system, like close to every planet. And basically it would be one alien race against another, like say Gek versus Viking. And you would have the option to side with one or the other. So you would go to the space station. There would be, I'm not sure if that would work very well, because if they're at war, I don't think they could be in the same space station. So maybe they would introduce a system where NPCs, there's two space stations. Let's say they made it so there was two space stations, and I'm gonna die if I don't do something. So let's say there were two space stations in a star system, and one of the space stations had Viking and one had Gek, and so you would have the option to go to one and side with one of the sides, and after you chose a side, you would not be welcome in the other space station. If you get close to the other space station, the Gek would attack you if you side with the Viking. So then you help the Viking fight a war in that star system, and if you complete all your missions, and maybe there's like a progress bar counting down for the Viking to defeat the Gek, once you complete enough missions, then there'd be some kind of big battle around the Gek space station. You would defeat the Gek, and then Viking would rule the star system, and you would get some kind of reward. That would be really cool if you could basically help fight a war in a star system whenever you go to a system that's at war. That's another idea that I've had for a while that they've never done anything with. Now, Archivista said exploding stars and planets. I don't think that could happen, or I don't think Hello Games would go that route. It would be nice if there was, cool effects going on in space, like you could come to a big nebula or something that had exploded like a supernova, but I don't think they're going to let planets be destroyed. I just don't think they'll do that, but who knows? Who knows what they might do? Okay, moving on. Rasmus Peterson, and I've never gotten the chance to thank Rasmus. He gave me a super chat over the holidays. Yeah, he said it was an early Christmas present, I think. But thank you, Rasmus Peterson, for that super chat. His comment says, "This is my wish list. Number 1, more co-op gameplay mechanics. I would love to see 100% base sharing in all aspects. Number 2, add an in-game market where people can buy, sell stuff like in Boundless, but maybe a smaller scale with restrictions. And then number 3, slow base appearance spawn." Well, I guess he means to fix the slow base appearance spawn. So let me address each of those. Number 1, more co-op gameplay. Big yes on that. A big problem with multiplayer is there's nothing that specifically is designed for multiplayer. We got some freighter missions. We can take missions at our freighter. I think it's called the global... No. I forget what that's called, but there are missions that you can take in your freighter that are designed for multiplayer because they're more difficult, but you can still solo them. I did a whole live stream series where I soloed mostly all of the missions that you can take on your freighter. So although it was kind of designed for multiplayer by creating a higher difficulty missions, it still doesn't really enhance multiplayer. It doesn't really make a point to having multiplayer. Multiplayer right now is just kind of slapped on. You can join another person's game, but all you can really do is build a base together, which apparently is not everything Rasmus would like, because he said he would like 100% base sharing in all aspects. I guess what he means by that is you can help a person build their base, but it's still their base, and once they're offline, you cannot build on their base anymore. So you can basically help someone build a base, but it's not your base. I guess what he's saying is he would like to share a base so that the base belongs to both of you, and you both own the base, maybe. I'm not sure if that's what he means. But that would be one way they could improve the multiplayer. And maybe also some kind of settlement system. He mentioned Boundless, and in Boundless, when lots of players build close to each other, what they build becomes a settlement, and you can name that settlement, and it has a prestige system and everything. It would be really cool if we could start building cities. We could build a base together, because currently there's like a 1 mile radius around a base, and no one else can build a different base within that radius. So you can't really build a city together. You can only build neighbors. You can have a neighbor that's a mile away, but you can't build a neighborhood or a city together. You can just help each other build your bases, but your bases have to be really far apart. So it would be nice if they would introduce the ability to build together, but Number 3, Rasmus mentioned slow base appearance spawn. So we have some serious memory problems when it comes to the base building system. If somebody builds their base too big, it will crash their game, or it will crash somebody else's game, or there will be a bunch of pop-in because the base is too big and the game can't handle all the memory. So it would be nice if we had a system where players could build a huge city together, but currently the way the game's memory works, it wouldn't work. The game would crash eventually. So it's not like in a game like Minecraft or Boundless where you can build huge stuff and it doesn't create more latency. It doesn't create a lot more lag. This game uses a lot smaller voxels. Someone's gonna get mad at me because I don't know all the technical stuff. But in Minecraft and Boundless, you've got these giant block voxels. In No Man's Sky, it uses a voxel system, but you can't tell, you can't see blocks or anything like that. It all looks like a regular world. And because of that, there's a lot more memory difficulty. It's a lot harder for the game to generate everything the more stuff gets added. I should probably stop talking because I don't know all the technical stuff behind it. But basically, you can't build a whole lot of stuff without running into lag problems. So I don't know if they could fix that. They have optimized it some, but I'm sure there's a limit to how much they can optimize it, and they probably can't allow us to turn an entire planet into a city planet. But anyway, oh, he mentioned in-game markets. I would like to see them add a delivery box that we can build at our bases so that people could like leave you gifts at your base. So you build a delivery box, and somebody can come, like you could request an item or something like that, and someone could come sell that item to you. Or you could put something up for sale and someone could buy the item at your base. That's basically how the market system works in Boundless. You build a shop stand or you build a request basket, and people can sell things to you there or buy things from your shop stand. And it works pretty well. In No Man's Sky, though, it would be a little more difficult because we're much more spread out across a giant universe. Boundless uses a portal system where you can zap straight to somebody else's build and buy from them. In No Man's Sky, though, we have portals, but it's not as easy to find other people's bases. Planets are much bigger and the universe is much bigger. But still, it would be cool to be able to sell items or request items at stands that we can build at our bases. But anyway, moving on to You Are Godsmacked. He comments... Sorry, I gotta read what I wrote here. Oh, he said thanks. Thanks for the speculation. I hope it is gonna be an animal variation update or cave update, but I think it will be an update with more enemies to kill and turrets for your base, a defense update. So he's really speculating of what he thinks the next update's going to be. Of course, he mentioned animal variation, which we've already talked about, but he also says caves. Now that I would really like to see. We've had an ocean update and we've had a land update. We have not seen an improvement to caves though. I would like to see that as well. Caves were a lot better before Next. For some reason Next really nerfed caves. For one thing, there's a lot less cave entrances. It's a lot harder to find a cave on planets now. For some reason they changed something about planet generations, so there aren't as many cave openings. There is negative space underground. You can dig down and you'll almost always run into a underground cave. But there's a lot less glowing plants, and so caves are a lot darker. They're a lot less interesting. They're a lot less colorful. They're basically just a bunch of stalactites and nothing else. Why don't I dig down and try to find a cave, and I'll show you what I mean. Usually you can find a cave. I may not be able to. Well, maybe not. I'd have to search for a cave relic or something. I might walk around and search for underground stuff for a bit while I talk some more. But yeah, I would really like to see an improvement to caves, more luminous plants in caves like they used to be, so that it's more lit up, more colorful props in caves. Now what I would really like, and I've wanted this for a long time, is to actually have underground buildings. Currently buildings can only be above ground. We can finally build a cave underground, but there's no longer a reason you'd want to build a cave underground. Build a base, sorry. You would no longer want to build a base underground because caves are so drab. It used to be I wanted to build a base in a cave because caves were colorful and cool looking, but now that caves are so boring, I don't want to build a base there anymore. So if they improve caves, then there'll actually be a reason to build a base underground in a cave. But yeah, I would really like a cave update. And he also said, what is that noise? He also said, but I think it will be an update with more enemies to kill. That's a good point. We got new sentinels, the corrupt sentinels. I personally, though, have never seen one. I've tried getting the underground satellites, but corrupted sentinels have never spawned for me. It would be nice if they would put the corrupt sentinels in more places in the games besides just spawning when you dig up a satellite, and other enemies as well. And he mentioned turrets for your base. That's another thing that people have requested a lot since bases were added. They would like defenses for your base. We don't really need them because nothing really attacks your base. Sentinels can't go inside. Well, sentinels can't attack you when you're inside your base. They can go in your base, unfortunately, and they kind of get stuck in there, but you can't, they can't hurt you when you're inside your base. But yeah, if they added more enemies that could actually attack you in your base, then there would be a reason to have turrets and defenses for your base and stuff like that. They could even add some kind of dynamic system where, like, every few game days there would be a horde of enemies that would attack you and you would have to defend. I don't think people really want that, and I don't think Hello Games would want to do that, because then it would kind of mess up the chill aspect of the game if you were constantly having to fight off a horde of enemies every few days. Some games have mechanics like that. I don't think Hello Games will go that route, but it would be cool if we had to defend our bases. But anyway, next is Daniel Darg. He says, I would want to see VR support for at least before the end of 2019. Before that, just keep adding variation of all kinds. So, VR support. I'm going to do a whole video about that. But I am one that would definitely like to have VR support as well. For some reason, a lot of people keep saying that they shouldn't add VR until they fix other stuff. But Hello Games asked about VR support in a recent survey. They did a survey and it asked if we would like VR support. I voted for VR support. And I have a friend that said VR for No Man's Sky wouldn't work for PSVR. I hope that it would. They probably would just have to optimize things to allow us to have PSVR, but they could definitely do it on PC. And really, people have always says that No Man's Sky is a game that's made for VR, because VR is very much an experience where you just kind of look around and get immersed into a simulated environment, and that's exactly what No Man's Sky is all about. So No Man's Sky seems made for VR, and Sean Murray took questions about VR before the game even came out, and he said that VR was something they would like to do someday, but they didn't have plans for it at the time. Now that it's popped up in the survey again, I really do think that they're planning to do VR support eventually, and I really hope that it will work for PlayStation so that I can do it. But we'll see what ends up happening. And of course, he just said more variation, which is what almost everybody in the comments have said. And finally, Hovis Steve says, don't know how they could do it, would need a story to do so, but the return of the first spawn would be great, particularly for a space update. So yeah, that is a pretty cool idea. If they did do a big space update with war, they would need to add some kind of enemy besides just sentinels and pirates. I don't know how the first spawn could return, because basically all the Gek became peaceful, and so the Gek first spawn don't exist anymore. I don't know. I don't think they would do a time travel thing where the Gek from the past would come back. I guess some of the Gek could decide they want to bring back the first spawn empire, so a faction of Gek could become the Neo first spawn or something, and start a war. That, I guess, would be cool. That would kind of go along with my idea of having star systems that are at war. So there would be the new Gek first spawn versus a Viking faction that are being more aggressive than usual. And for the Korvax are supposed to be really peaceful, but they are machines, so maybe some of them could get corrupted and taken over and start being evil. I don't know. But yeah, I guess, I mean, if there was a war going on, there probably would be some kind of new Gek first spawn that would fit into that. So anyway, this video has gone on long enough. I really enjoyed going over people's comments, and we covered a lot of the things that I've wanted to discuss that people have been asking for the game. There is an issue that I am going to discuss in my next video that we did not discuss in this video. That video will be coming this weekend. I did this comments video on Wednesday. I think I might start doing that. I might do a video on the weekend, and I'll ask people to comment about what I discuss, and then sometime in the middle of the week I'll read people's comments, like in this video, and then I'll do a new video on a new speculation topic on the following weekend. But I'm not going to tell you what the next video is about yet, so you'll have to wait till Friday or Saturday when I upload that. But it has been a lot of fun reading these comments. Thank you to everybody for helping give me more to talk about and speculating on different ways that No Man's Sky could be improved. But that does it for this reading community comments video, and I will talk to you all in this coming weekend. So, I have been Mac. Thank you for joining me for a day, and remember, everything is going to be okay.